Well, we are back with you live once again on another Johnny Torch live broadcast. Broadcast number 235 today, and we are bringing you Torch News Roundup number 276. That's the spirit. Welcome into the show. A lovely Saturday afternoon, and what better way to spend it than here with us as we're going to be talking about the Super Bowl trailer extravaganza that was laid upon us last Sunday during the Super Bowl. Welcome in. Welcome to the show. And probably the less said about the Super Bowl, the better. If you watched the end of our last show, I gave my prediction that the Eagles were going to win. And once again, the NFL decided to let the referees decide the game. Again, I don't know, this is probably the first subject I could get into, but this is a really pathetic display for probably the third time this season. The AFC Championship game, once again, decided by the officials. I've seen at least two or three Patriots games decided by the officials. When are we going to get some investigation going on with these NFL officials? We've got to get some rules changes made because their ability to micromanage a game nowadays is just taking all the fun out of the sport. But lest I digress, I know you're all here for the Torch News Roundup, which is brought to you by Bullets Bourbon Comics. Now, of course, if you haven't already, check out our last broadcast. And we are bringing the gift of Bullets Bourbon Comics to Global Comics. Now, if you haven't checked them out yet, you can check them out on their website, where you can find many comics, indie comics, to read for free. Some like mine, which you have to pay for, which you get a couple of pages for free. You get a free preview. But I'm hoping once again that this is going to jumpstart some interest in the comic because, again, I'm not really a big fan of digital comics, but I remember back in the day, when I first began doing comics, professionally, I thought, digital comics probably ain't that bad of a thing. I mean, let's face it, comics are expensive. There's the shipping and handling prices, and then you have a lot of difficulty getting the product in stores and this and that. If I can bring my comics to people who are lazy and poor and not able to afford having a actual copy to place in your hands, I'm going to try to reach those people too. Now, I've had digital copies available on Indie Planet for the longest time, but as I said before, Indie Planet seems to be going nowhere fast. So I'm going to try to roll out these issues and stories on Global Comics from now on, and trying to get more eyes on the book, because I'm honestly flummoxed. Now, I promised myself I don't ever want to go on to a rant in one of these shows, but quite honestly, I don't understand. I don't understand what else. I feel like a rant is incoming. Here we go. I don't know what else anybody wants from me. I don't know what else I can do at this point to bring you the gift of Bullets Bourbon Comics. I've been working, slaving over a hot stove, making these comics for 10 years now. It's actually 11 years now. And the amount of interaction I get with fans and folks is abysmal. I see other folks that have clearly less talent than I am doing better, clearly having more views, clearly having more sales and more success. This is intolerable to me. So I am going to bring this book out onto any platform possible to show it before any eyes possible. And I'm going to convince you, if it is the last thing I do, I'm going to convince you that this is a storyline that you are going to be satisfied with. Just check out one issue. Check out one issue at a time. See where the overall plot is going. The storylines are fantastic. Of course, it's like old school art. It's cartoony. It's meant to be drawn in an animated style. You're not going to get an ultra rendered, ultra realistic, all that stuff that they're trying to force onto the comics nowadays. You're going to get old school entertainment. You're going to get old school values. You're not going to get the degeneracy that you see with the comics I see nowadays in the indie market. What do you have? You have is Josh going to take Brad to the prom? No, you're not going to find that in Bullets Bourbon Comics. Why? Because we cater to a higher level, a higher taste. If you have class, taste, and appreciation, and I know you do, if you're watching this show right now, I know you do, you're going to demand for something greater. You're not going to want the manga or the manga influenced stuff. This is cartoony. I'll put it to you this way: you like manga, you like the cartoony type style with the little elfin faces and this and that. This is probably closer to you than some of, like I said, the ultra rendered, realistic looking with the shadings and shadowings and having no color, just having like red and black and shadows, and that's all you have for your color palette. No, this is 4-color comics. You're going to have bright colors, you're going to have awesome images. There is no other way around it. This is the premium comic on the market right now, and virtually nobody knows it. You've got a story that is unfolding slowly but surely. You see these characters growing and evolving. You see the villains and how you get their backstory. You get to see what motivates them, and it's not quite as simple as you would probably think, because this is a simple tale. I'm not doing anything where you have to have a guidebook to figure out where everything is going and who is what character related to and what is their power set and this and that. No, this is not even that difficult. This is very simply good versus evil. This is one lone hero standing up against a multitude of villainy to protect his city. And he's got friends, he's got enemies, he's got rivals, he's got nemesises. This is what comics were made for. This is what it's all about. You've got all the tropes of the comic world. Like I said before many times, my inspiration came from not only comics, which of course I grew up with the comics. From 3 years old, I was reading comics. But also I grew up in the greatest age of television, which was the 80s, where you had the A-Team and Knight Rider and MacGyver, reruns of Star Trek and the Hulk and all this stuff. That's what I forged, that upbringing and that material that I had in my head all those years, forged it into a comic book form. This was a TV show. This is an 80s TV show if it was done in comic book form. I always liken it to George Lucas when he was a kid. He was a fan of the cereals. I'm not talking about Lucky Charms and Fruit Loops. I'm talking about cereals. Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers, Commander Cody, Superman, whatever else they had back then. He was a student of those films, and he knew how to tell a story from that. He knew what the excitement level was and the fast pace and tune in tomorrow. And it's the same thing here. I fashion these after television episodes. You typically have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Some of them are 1 chapter, some of them are 2 chapters, some of them are 3. There's even one that's in the works that is 4. But the fact is, it's a story that you have to let it unfold. You see it a little at a time, and then, like I said, it comes to a cohesive whole. Now, the one we're working on right now is, let me see. This share screen seems a little more complicated than it used to be, but it's okay. All right, the issue we're on now, we are on issue 10. We're working on issue 11, but right now, issue 10 is now available for purchase. Unfortunately, like I said, Indie Planet is kaput, really. It's not really doing anything. Eventually, I'll try to roll this one out on Global Comics, but we're doing a slow rollout. I want to do a little at a time. We're going to do like a book a month until we get caught up, giving you plenty of time to get interested, envelop yourself in the storylines, and then, eventually have something to look forward to. So this one is, the story arc is called Man of Our Times. The first issue in this arc is called Get the Lead Out. Pencil Neck, one of our big villains in the series, he is released from Lockmore Prison's asylum wing for the criminally insane, sane and powerless. Now, he's a really fun character. I've said it a lot of times. He's sort of my version of, the Joker mixed with the Trickster, mixed with the Riddler. I mean, he's got that manic energy. He's meant to be unpredictable, and he's a lot of fun to write. And his power is that he can erase people using the power of his eraser in the crown of his head. And he's lost that power in a previous episode. And he seeks to regain that power and get revenge. Meanwhile, he's trying to let Stark City believe him to be a, humanitarian, that he's changed his ways. He's turned over a new leaf, as they say. But Bullets knows things are not always as they seem. Of course, this is, like I said, old school, good versus evil. If you liked, any of that stuff you grew up with, such as Batman or anything like that, this is kind of the flavor I'm going for. Batman, the animated series, the artwork is, of course, very heavily influenced in, with my style, with my flair in that way. And again, I've been at this for 10 years. I am clearly not going anywhere. I am not a Johnny come lately. I've said this before. Pun mercilessly intended. I am not a Johnny come lately. I am here for the long haul, and I'm going to stay here, and I'm going to continue to make these comics, and I'm going to continue to force them upon an unsuspecting audience until I get each and every one of you to be a fan of the Adventures of Bullets, Bourbon, Private Eye. Why you haven't checked it out already, I have no idea, but there is no excuse in the world. You have no excuse. I'm wagging my finger at you right now. You have no excuse. Check out these comics. Once again, it's going to appeal to the old school comic book fan. There is no reason in the world why it wouldn't. There's humor, there's camaraderie, there's action, there's adventure, there's beautiful women. This is all the stuff that you expect in your entertainment experience. This is it. I've given it all to you. I'm holding my hands out to you with gold in my hands, pleading for you to take it for your own good, for your own enjoyment. I shouldn't have to convince you to do this. You should be thanking me for doing this. If you're not, you're crazy. You're absolutely crazy for not checking this out. And again, this sounds like a heel promo, but let me tell you something. You are going to be very disappointed if you check this out and you're too far along in the parade. You're going to want to get on this early. That's why I say, get the first issue, get the second issue. We roll into it. We don't just start with the avalanche. We go up the hill. We knock the snowfall down the hill, and we slide down on a toboggan. That's the way I like to express it. We climb up the hill the first two books. We're on top of the hill with the third, and it's a thrill ride down the rest of it. It's just riding the avalanche. That's the way I look at it. And like I said, get on it before we get any further. Now, the first season is almost over. The first season is almost over. This is what we call the season finale story arc. Now, my plan, like I said, I'm kind of repeating myself from last week, but, in case you didn't watch last week, the idea was to do like 5 stories, roughly 13 issues. That comprises a season, like a season of television. You'd have 13 episodes and maybe 5 story arcs. Then we'll move on to another season. And again, the stories are not so tied together that you need to see them all in order. You'll get, just like any other comic in history, basically, you'll get caught up if you read a little bit of the beginning where I try to catch you up to speed. Then we'll get into the story proper, and it really doesn't matter because you'll get acclimated really quickly. But the fun part though is seeing how things develop, and you can see how the relationships are forged between the heroes and between the villains and heroes, and between the villains and villains. It's a lot of fun. And again, sometimes I think I just treat this like, for a live stream, I treat it like a business. And I don't think enough people see the passion that I have. And sometimes I think, because you want to be, reserved, and you don't want to be ranting and so on and so forth. But there is a passion here. Don't mistake this. Don't mistake any of this for a lack of passion. I just don't know what to tell you to convince you of the fact that this is the greatest comic book. And I'm going to go on record right now. This is the greatest comic book you're ever going to read. The greatest comic book series. Your mileage may vary on the different issues. You're going to find an issue that you like here in this series. And it's up to you. I can't make you read it. I can't convince you to read it unless you make the effort yourself. So check out this comic. This is my final plea. Just check it out. And like I said, I'm dedicated. I work over this book slavishly every day. Whatever issue I'm working on gets my undivided attention for like, I don't know. I would not go so far as to suggest that saying 5 hours is an exaggeration. I probably work on this book 5 hours a day. I am fully committed to it. I've gotten better as the issues have gone on. Of course, learning skills. I've said that many times in the past. I've gotten, from the beginning, I started with pencils and markers to color. Then I got into digital coloring. I learned that skill. I learned how to letter because I hand lettered the first 4 issues. All those are remastered now, so you can get them as state of the art. But again, I had to learn all these things. Special effects like rain, as you see in this picture, snow, like in the last issue. I'm learning all these things. We're making the book as, you know, worthy of your money as you possibly can have it. So another wonderful little thing that I'm going to do for you fans today, what I'm going to do for you folks, I'm going to show the cover of the next issue. Now, I don't think I've done that on a live stream yet. I know I have done it on I might have done it before. I know I've got it in the most recent issue. So if you buy this book, you've already seen it. Now, if you haven't, we'll take a look at the new issue that's coming up. Hopefully this will be out in I'm saying spring. I'm saying maybe May. I'm hoping to get it to go to print around May. So this is the cover to be looking for. The Adventures of Bullets Bourbon, Private Eye, issue 11. And this is part 2 in the Man of Our Times story arc. As you can see, we've introduced a bunch of new characters in the story arc. We have Thelma Hoffman, who is the beauty there in that picture behind Pencil Neck. She's sort of his benefactor or benefactress, I guess. She's a wealthy dowager. She's a hairdresser to the stars, and he manages to get himself, integrated with her in some way. Then we have Iggy Duke. I always want to say Duke Iggy because originally that's what I was going to call him, but then I said Iggy Duke sounds better. Anyhow, Iggy Duke is the investigative journalist of Stark City, the Stark City Gazette, the Stark City Times. No, he works for a television company, so he sort of types out his stuff, but he's basically known for being on the broadcast networks. And of course, we see another new character lurking on the side there, which is a Dr. Chrome Dome, crime doctor, and he is the one that's responsible for getting Pencil Neck's powers back. And of course, what is the plan of Pencil Neck? What is he doing? He seems to be a completely law-abiding citizen now. What is he going to do to change all that in order to get his revenge? Well, Bullets Bourbon's got to keep an eye on him, and we'll find out in this issue. The mystery unfolds. And then, of course, the final issue will be the resolution to that mystery. And I can't even give you the title of that issue because that will probably, that'll definitely point you in the direction of what the mystery is. You got to read this one first. You got to find out the mystery and see if you can come to the conclusion yourself by the end of the issue and solve the mystery as you go along. Again, it's kind of, I wanted to show Bullets using his detective skills. And in this case, you kind of know who the villain is. I guess that's kind of what they always said about Columbo. You always know who the villain is. If Dick Van Dyke is guest starring on the show, you know Dick Van Dyke is the villain. But you have to kind of try to follow the clues to figure out what he's doing, what his plans are, Pencil Neck. So again, that'll be a lot of fun. Again, I'm really excited about this. We're going on 11 years now, and I really want to see this comic take off. I'm committed to it. I'm going to keep doing it. And, it would just be a lot more fun for people to be able to interact with the show, having read the books. So check out Global Comics. I got to put a link in the description. I don't think I've done that yet as of this broadcast, but I'll probably try to do that after the broadcast. So you can check it out on Global Comics if you want. But I would really admonish you to get a paper copy because that's the way I believe comics should be read. They should be endearing to you that way. As a copy, you just grab it and you love to open it and read it, and in some cases smell it. Of course, That's the newsprint method, but I'd prefer that. So you can check out the link in the description below for my website where you can order these books. You can check out the Twitter page that I run. Will keep you up to date with all the latest ongoings. And so, extended rant over. And we will now go on to what I'm sure you're all waiting for with bated breath. We're going to talk about the Super Bowl trailers for Super Bowl 57. And let's start with, now, I think they just did a commercial. Some of these are like just commercial spots, not necessarily full blown trailers. And this one I think is in the same case. But we'll start off with Creed 3. Now, this is a film that I'm actually very excited for. Now, I didn't think I was going to be excited for a Creed film without Rocky, but again, I hope they didn't kill off Rocky. They show him briefly in the trailer, his picture on the wall, so it's like they're not forgetting Rocky, but he's not in this. I hope they don't kill him off, really. But I think his purpose in the Creed story, it depends. If this was the last Creed film, I would have said they really should have had Rocky in it to sort of, you know, sail that ship into the sunset, something like that. But seeing as how this might be a franchise that goes on for a while. I don't know. I mean, Michael B. Jordan is still a young guy. I mean, Stallone played Rocky for what was it, like 15 years? I mean, this could go on for a while, I guess. Jonathan Majors, who we will be seeing as Kang pretty soon, which, by the way, I'll be seeing that. I already got my tickets for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I'm going to be seeing that on Tuesday. So you could probably expect a video review Wednesday or Thursday, depending on the situation. Sometimes it takes me a long time to edit a review. Sometimes I can just get it done fast. It depends, but sometime this week there should be a review. But he's playing the villain here, and he looks great. I mean, this looks like a really exciting storyline where they're gonna have one of his like childhood friends become a dangerous nemesis, and that's always a fun story to see. I was reading an article where Stallone was again. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff going on that's unpleasant, unfortunately. Stallone and the Winklers, Irvin Winkler and his son, I think, are feuding. Winkler holds the rights, and Stallone wants the rights back. He wants to leave them to his kids. He kind of is not in control of the Rocky franchise. It took him a long time to get Rocky Balboa made. That's another one of those situations where he really wanted to do it about, I don't know, probably 8 years earlier than they let him do it. And of course, you have, I think they said he wanted to do like 3 other Rocky films. I remember there was a story that he wrote, a story about he managed a Mexican fighter or something. That was another storyline he was doing. And he wrote Rocky, I mean, he wrote Creed 2, which again was a great story, which I felt they didn't allow it to come to its full potential by sort of writing Rocky out at a certain point. He and Drago never really had the connection that they should have had. It is what it is. I mean, as far as my feelings are on the Creed franchise, I kind of like them with a caveat. I think the first one was okay. It was decent melodrama in the Rocky style. Uh, Creed 2 felt like they had a great story to tell. Like I said, they didn't quite achieve it didn't achieve its full potential. This one here, like I said, it's possible that without Stallone's involvement, we'll be able to focus on the story more, and we won't have to worry about, are they giving Rocky enough screen time? Are they following up on his things? Because they didn't even have Rocky interact with Felicia Rashad as Apollo's widow in the second film until it happens off screen. I thought that was a gross insult. And again, there should have been more scenes with Rocky and Drago. I think there was a scene that was cut out. I'm not sure. But as for the trailer, yeah, it looks exciting. It looks like what you want to see from a Rocky slash Creed film. I think it's going to push all the buttons. It's going to make everybody satisfied with where this franchise is going, at least from the look of that trailer. So let me know what you think about Creed 3. Do you think there's a possibility of a Creed 4? Or is this kind of like, I mean, Stallone, if he was in charge of it, I'm sure he'd come up with something else. But I mean, I don't know where you go from here. Apparently, Creed walks away from fighting in this one. I don't know if he's retired, but they say he's walked away from boxing or something like that. Again, this is sort of like Rocky 3, where it's time to retire, but then he's going to come back. And then again, there's probably two or three more movies in his future. Who knows? I mean, it could go anywhere. So let me know what you think in the comments below for Creed 3. And we'll move on to another film with a 3 in the title, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. This was another trailer. Now, the trailer that they got on YouTube is different than the trailer they had on the Super Bowl. I haven't been able to see the Super Bowl trailer again. Super Bowl trailer ended with Drax on the couch, and I don't know, it went by so fast, and everybody's talking when you're in the room with everyone watching the Super Bowl. You really don't get the full effect. So I don't even really know what happened in that trailer. And I tried to find it, I can't find it. But this trailer ends with a joke about Peter and uh why did my mind go a blank with the bald chick? Uh Not Gamora, that's the green girl, right? Oh, it'll come to me probably after the show's over. Karen Gillian, let's just put it that way, which, there's a big controversy about the poster where they completely eliminated Karen Gillian's bosom, so to speak. And it looks so absurd. It's very strange looking. I don't know. It's the wokeness, I guess, of Disney trying to make Nebula, that's her name, Nebula. Try to make Nebula look as androgynous as possible, I guess. Very strange. Very strange. All right, so this trailer again, I don't think there's anything really new here that I can point to that I didn't talk about before when I've seen the other Guardians trailer and TV spots. I like these snazzy new outfits. They look good. Apparently, they're going to cross paths with Gamora again. They look like they're in some kind of. They got those red uniforms on. They're probably in some jail or something. I think it's going to harken back to the first film. You've got the High Evolutionary, I believe is his name in this film, and he's doing flashbacks where he's experimenting on Rocket, and apparently he has a buddy, an otter. I don't know if it's male or female. It's kind of tough to tell. And, you can just tell it's going to be very sad. It's going to be very depressing. More child abuse like they had in Volume 2. I don't know. I mean, again, James Gunn isn't really my cup of tea. I thought he did a good job with the first film. But again, the first film, there's always restraint on directors, and you don't have that later on. I have a feeling that's kind of where this is going to go too. It's going to be unfettered James Gunn, and so I don't really know what to expect other than, yeah, there's going to be child/animal abuse. There's going to be, tears because apparently somebody's going to die in this one. I think they've all but made that clear that it's going to be probably Rocket. It might even be Drax. So again, I don't know. Looking at the Guardians franchise, the first film made people, think this was going to be a laugh a minute franchise. And it's funny because they really, if you look at it, are equal points pathos and comedy. It's not really a comedy series as much as it seems like it. I mean, heck, the first one, you start off with Peter's mother dying of cancer. That's not really something that's a laugh a minute. So I guess going into it with that frame of mind, which I didn't with Guardians 2, maybe I'll be able to get that this is not really meant to be a laugh a minute. All right, so, let me know what you think in the comments below. I mean, this is apparently going to be the last Guardians film. I think they've made that clear too, so that even if they're not all killed off, that there are some survivors, they're going to go their separate ways. I mean, maybe you might see whatever, Mantis again or Quill, but you're probably not going to see them together as the Guardians. Whether there ever is a Guardians sequel, I mean, they might have a new cast of Guardians to fill the role. I don't know. That's entirely suspect. All right, so let me know what you think about the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And I hope you're enjoying the only way to spend your Saturday here with us. We've got Indiana Jones 5, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. This is the one I think I'm honestly looking forward to the most, even though, again, people poo poo this one and they poo poo Crystal Skull and they poo poo everything that has to do with Lucasfilm. I know that, the leadership there is suspect, but I don't think Kathleen Kennedy had a lot to do with this film. I think this is James Mangold's baby. I think this is largely Harrison Ford's baby. I don't think we're going to get this to be overly woke. I mean, we've got Phoebe Waller-Bridge, but even in this shot, in this TV spot, she's basically fumbling around trying to save Indy, and Indy has to grab her and parachute out the plane or whatever. So I mean, it might not be a case of wokeness. It sort of reminds me of No Time to Die, where everybody was expecting Phoebe Waller-Bridge is writing it. It's going to be a woke fest, and the black woman there, I can't remember what her name was. She's going to take over the role of 007, and she's going to circumvent him at every point and be superior to him. None of that really happened. And I have a feeling that's the same thing here. This is not, most likely, I'm going to say this is not going to be a woke fest. This is going to be probably, is it going to be annoying, this character? I don't remember what her name is, Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character. Is she going to be annoying? Probably. Possibly not more so than some of his other co-stars in these films, but I don't think that's going to be a problem. All right, so we get a look at Mads Mikkelsen's character. I don't remember what his name is. Indy says, "Are you still a Nazi?" He says, "My memory is a little vague." Again, I don't really know what that means. Is this meaning that they're going through history back and forth? That's why he's not sure? Or is this just one of those age jokes where he's getting old and he's like, well, are you still a Nazi? I don't remember. I don't know. I don't know. From what I read, Ford said he made them take out all the age jokes. Probably because that really didn't go over so well in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Although, to be honest with you, the only joke that I remember was they used it in the trailer was, I thought that was closer. And I don't know, maybe they made another one near the end where he was like, I think the thing about Crystal Skull, about Indy being older, the only thing they really did was they tried to make it seem like he was becoming his father. He was becoming his own dad. He even says this is intolerable at a certain point, and I I, I kind of like that homage to Sean Connery and his character, but again, we really don't want to see Indy. We really don't want to see him acting his age. Really, I mean, it's going to come up because I think this is taking place when Indy is like 70, although Ford is very famously being mentioned that he's 80 now. I think he's playing Indy a little bit younger, quote unquote younger, air quotes. So I guess to make it a little bit more believable. And of course, Ford's in great shape. I mean, for an 80-year-old, the guy still looks like he can kick half the people's butts on screen legit. You know what I mean? So again, I don't really have a problem with this. I know a lot of people do. I liked Crystal Skull. Is it better than the original three? No. It's fourth on every list. It's probably going to stay fourth. I imagine this is going to be fifth out of them all. But the thing is you have to tell me, that you got a little bit excited hearing the Indy theme, seeing Ford back in the fedora and the leather jacket. I mean, you're really that cynical where you're not going to go to this film, you're not going to munch your popcorn, you're not going to have a good time seeing Ford doing his thing again one last time. It's going to be the last time. He's not going to be able to do this again. It takes like 18 years between movies for him, apparently, so it's not going to happen again. So, just go with it. Just enjoy it. Crystal Skull, if it's half as good as Crystal Skull, I think it's going to be good. And that's, people will say that's a low bar. But if it's as good as Crystal Skull, let's say, I'm going to be satisfied with it because Crystal Skull at its heart was a lot of fun. The only problem I had with Crystal Skull was it was too academic. It was too talky in certain scenes. It's like we got to go to the Mexican jail, and then we got to go to the Ecuador, and then we got to go there. Really, it seemed like there was a lot more traveling and this and that, more so than the action set pieces. The action set pieces were pretty much set for the end of the movie, and it didn't really feel like, and then there's a lot of talking when he's in the tent with Spalko, and then there's a lot of talking it just felt like to me it needed to be a little more fast paced. And I have a feeling this one will be a little more fast paced. So it could in some ways be better, but again, Crystal Skull had all the hallmarks of an Indiana Jones film. You had the beat down that some bigger guy gives him. You had the creepy, bugs or animal or whatever it is that's going to be in the film. I hope they touch on all those things here. That'll be another, you know, hallmark of the series if you can keep those things in the film. So again, it's a very short clip. Give him hell, Indiana Jones. Sala is in it. It's nice that they're showing Sala. The thing is, I actually saw a rough cut of this ad early, and they cut out a funny joke that was at the beginning of it. And I hope it's still in the movie, but I don't know. But yeah, I did see this early, and I really kind of felt like I should have spoiled the beans and told people about it, and then maybe they would have they would have given me some street cred, man. Would have given me some street cred, but no. So also, I've been reading a lot. Bounding into Comics was talking about. They did an article about Indy is going to be depressed in this film, and of course, everybody's biting their nails and clutching their pearls and getting the fainting couch ready because they think it's going to be like Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi. And if anybody knows anything, The Last Jedi is the gold standard for crappy characterization, assassination. You know what I mean? That's horrible. That cannot happen again to any other beloved character. Not as bad as it did there. Now, I don't think Indiana Jones they're going to do that, but the real fear is that they're going to. I think they're going to kill off Marion in between films. They're going to do a Rocky Balboa. They're going to say that she died, she had cancer or something, and she died. Now Indy's on his own. And I think what the Bounding into Comics article suggested is that they're going to kill off Mutt Williams off screen, that he died in Vietnam. Which again, I don't know when this movie is set. Would Mutt be too old to go to Vietnam? If I mean, I think this is the space race. That's right, 1969. So when did Mutt go? When did the war start? It's like he was, what was he, like 20, something like that in Crystal Skull, and that was set in 57. So again, you got to do the math and try to figure it out. So if he was 20 then, by 67, he's 30. And it's like, well, when does he get drafted? Well, like in the mid 60s, I guess. And he would have been like 28 or, I mean, that's what I mean. I don't know if the numbers match up for that. So that's why I'm not sure if that would happen. I really hope they don't kill Mutt off. I hope they don't kill Marion off. I don't think you need Indiana Jones to be depressed because he has no one else in the world. I think depression, such as it is enough when you're 80 years old and you know that you have left days before you than you do behind you. I mean, that's kind of what the purpose of that line is in the trailer when Sala goes, I miss the old days, basically. And Indy's like, well, those days have come and gone. And that's kind of depressing, the prospect of that, thinking, well, you can't jump on a moving train anymore and take out 5 Nazis with one pistol and stuff like that. But you don't really need to have Indy at a point where he's lost everything. And that's kind of what I'm hoping they don't do. I'm guessing that's what they're going to do. I'm hoping that they don't do that. And, leaving his goddaughter, which I guess is going to be Marcus's granddaughter, I don't think you need, I mean, that's not the only family tie he should have. I know in the Young Indy series, they had him have a daughter, which some people were suggesting maybe that was actually his daughter-in-law because he had a son, which was Mutt, which is it's a canonical character. But I think because Lucas removed all those old Indy scenes, I don't think any of that is canon anymore. I still say if they want to go back and do, because the suggestion is now they're going to do an Indiana Jones TV show. Nobody knows what it's really going to be about, but the rumor is it's going to be about Abner Ravenwood. I still say the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, they went like in a completely different direction because they were trying to be educational. And it's like, oh, look, Indy is 10 years old and he's meeting Pablo Picasso. And then Indy is going into World War I, and he met Mata Hari and all that stuff. But they really could have, when they got through all that, they could have got into when he was an archaeologist, when he got to school, the University of Chicago, and met Abner Ravenwood and met Marion, which I'm sure, they might not want to do that story. How he met Belloc. He obviously knew Belloc for a long time before Raiders. How he met Sala, because he's old buddies with Sala. We never saw that story. And of course, I would have rather seen this done under the auspices of Lucas and Spielberg, but really there's a storyline there to be tapped into if you could, do that. There's a lot of characters that really fell off the grid, so to speak, and I would like to see what happened to them too. I mean, we know what happened to Marcus and Henry Senior, but I mean, we don't know what happened to Short Round. It would be nice if he was in this story. I'd love a cameo of Willie Scott, stuff like that. I don't think we're going to get all that, but there's really a lot of places to play in the Indiana Jones playground. It would be nice if we could do that. All right, so let me know what you think about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. What'd you think of the Super Bowl spot? And we come now to our final one, the big finale here, the big finish. And boy, was this exciting. The Flash. I mean, Batman. Everybody's excited about this film basically for Michael Keaton's return as Batman. I mean, it's been a long time coming. Everybody knew he was the best Batman actor. I mean, if you didn't get goosebumps seeing him in the Batman costume again, the self-same Batman costume from 92, and that was the best Batman costume. I mean, the cowl wasn't functional, he couldn't move his head and this and that. But that was the best costume. The ears were the right length. He had the gold emblem on the chest symbol. That is the definitive Batman costume. And as much as I say Christian Bale, I think, is the most accurate Batman actor, I think that Michael Keaton is the best. It's just that he didn't have movies or characterization to really do him justice. But I remember when I was a kid, and everybody knows that was around in those days, when they announced Michael Keaton was going to be Batman, everybody was, oh, the Mr. Mom guy, oh, this is crazy, this is not going to work. I was the only one that had faith in him. I says, why not? I mean, I knew him from Mr. Mom. I seen that movie when I was a kid, and then when you seen him in the costume, it was like, come on, that's a natural. So Michael Keaton is back as Batman. He says the line, and everybody's just waiting for it. Everybody's all excited, going, is he going to say the line? He said the line. And I don't know how much he's going to be in the film, but it looks like he's going to be in a decent amount of it. I think people were trying to act like, well, they're going to cut out all his scenes. They're going to cut out Sasha Caley's scenes. I think that's her name, who plays Supergirl. But obviously that's not the case, because he's not only in this, but he looks like he's front and center in this film. Sasha Caley's Supergirl, that's another weak point for me. Now, I really would have liked, now again, this probably would have made the movie a little too packed, but we've got Ben Affleck back as Batman. We got Michael Keaton back as Batman. What would have been nice is if they were really going to pull the plug on the Snyderverse, they should have pulled Supergirl out and put Henry Cavill's Superman in. And we could have seen a good farewell to Henry Cavill, instead of what's ultimately going to happen with Henry Cavill is what happens to most of these guys that get the rug pulled out from underneath them. Tobey Maguire, he was going to do Spider-Man 4, 5, and 6. He's done. They decided to go another way. Batman was, Michael Keaton was going to be Batman in Batman 3. Burton is fired and Keaton walks, and we wait 30 years for him to be Batman again. Same thing's going to happen with Henry Cavill. He will be Superman again. Mark my words. If it's going to take 30 years like it did with Keaton, I don't know. Is it going to take 12 years like it did with Maguire, or whatever it was, 12, 15 years? Maybe. But he'll be back. They could have put him here and just gave him a good farewell. But again, the storyline apparently is going to be that when Barry goes back in time, he ruins the timeline, Superman never comes to Earth. Now, how does he change that? I don't know. That doesn't really make any sense to me. Because, if you know the story, he's going back to prevent his mother's death at the hands of the Reverse Flash. Again, I've seen that so many times during the 9 seasons of the Grant Gustin series. I honestly don't want to see it again, but apparently this is what's going to facilitate the story. And when he does this, apparently Superman isn't coming to Earth. Supergirl does instead. General Zod is back. Michael Shannon is back as General Zod. She is put in like some kind of asylum type thing, I guess, for mutants or whatever. There are no metas because he's done this, so there's only street level heroes like Batman. And he meets himself in this world, which is why there's two of them at every juncture. Now, I'm not a fan of Ezra Miller. I mean, I think that goes without saying. I don't think anybody's a fan of Ezra Miller's Flash, but I think for the purposes of this film, I think he's going to do well. They are going to do well. I think that's a joke, maybe that there's two of him in there so they can call him they all the time. But I think that might be a good thing because what this film essentially is doing is unraveling the Snyderverse. And for me, I'm all for that. I don't want to see the Snyderverse anymore. I think we can do away with all of it. I think recasting is not a bad thing in all cases. I mean, like I said, I'm a Henry Cavill fan. I was happy when he got Black Adam as his return vehicle, but if this is the way it has to be, it has to be. And if we can put to rest the Snyderverse and start up again after this film, why not? Why not do it? That's the way I feel. Anyway, so the only thing that bothers me about this is Michael Keaton hopefully will get another chance at this. Now, he was originally, as everybody knows, intended to be in the Batgirl film, which I think was going to release before this. The Batgirl film was so bad that it was scrapped, and he did some Batman scenes for nothing. Now, hopefully they can get the cowl back on him. Some people say that they should do a Batman Beyond movie. Batman Beyond, he's not going to do anything but sit in the chair. They actually got him in action as Batman here. And of course, the Batman cowl covers a multitude of gray hairs. Now, again, Michael Keaton is in good enough shape where you can buy. I mean, he's only like 72. He's still in good enough shape where you can buy that he can do all this without it appearing ridiculous because he's probably playing a little younger than his real age. You can say that maybe this Batman is 65 or something, and he's in reasonably good shape. So I would say try to fit Michael Keaton back into another movie. Just give him another Batman movie for crying out loud. Get Michelle Pfeiffer back as Catwoman and get Chris O'Donnell back as Robin. And just carry on that universe. Yeah, you could try to do Billy D. Williams as Two Face. I don't know at this point. I don't know, but they could probably carry on with that. That's the thing. See, the studios don't ever really give you what you want most of the time. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, why can't you do Tom Holland's Spider-Man and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man in three separate movies? Must have stopped that. You got the rights to all three, right? Why can't you call up Disney and say, give us Electro. We're going to do our version of Electro in Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 4. Give us a version of Venom, and we'll do it with Andrew Garfield's Amazing Spider-Man 3. Why can't they do this stuff? I don't know. That's like, why can't, if you can do Robert Pattinson's Batman and you're going to have Brave and the Bold Batman by James Gunn, why can't you take Michael Keaton's Batman and give him Batman 3 or whatever? Chris O'Donnell is Nightwing. Michelle Pfeiffer's back as Selena Kyle, and just do something. You know what I mean? It would be fun to see the latter stages of this Batman's career, especially when you have a multiverse, as these superhero films do. You would think it's a no-brainer, but they won't do that, I guess, for some reason. I don't know. That's like we kind of lost our chance, I think, to see Linda Carter. Not necessarily as Wonder Woman, because she was probably going to be the ancestor of Wonder Woman or whatever in Wonder Woman 3, but apparently that's off the table. Now, why not? Why not do that film? We get to see Linda Carter again as an Amazon. I'd be down for it, but see, it's like we have to start over. They got to make us start over, and that's just the way it's going to be. All right, so let me know what you think. Like I said, I'm excited about this. I'm cautiously optimistic. This film could do anything. It could go anywhere, and the fact that it's going where it's going with Michael Keaton is at least enough of a reason for me to be excited. So let me know what you think in the comments below about The Flash or any of the other films that we have covered today. It's going to be an exciting year. Gee, look at all the stuff we got to look forward to. Shazam, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. We got, Creed 3, Indiana Jones 5, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Oh, am I forgetting anything? I mean, do we have Aquaman? Is that scheduled for this year still? I think Aquaman 2 is somewhere this year. We got oh geez, is there anything else? I think I could swear there's still like two or three movies that I think was it the Marvels are out. I don't know. I don't know if I can say I'm excited about that, but we got a full plate. And we've also got stuff coming out on TV pretty soon. The Flash just came back for its ninth and final season. I saw the first episode. It was all right. They're gonna play up the West Allen stuff. You just got to understand that. That's what they do. Um, The Mandalorian season 3 is coming out in a couple of weeks. I'm looking forward to that. I still haven't watched Tales of the Jedi, which I'm gonna try to make time to do pretty soon. I'll try to pass along some of my observations about that. Superman and Lois season 3, that's coming out, I think, in March, right? That's coming out. So we get some stuff still to look forward to. What else is out on Marvel bringing out this year? I forget. They got something else coming out on. I don't think Daredevil's out this year. I think that's probably next year. But like I said, some exciting stuff to look forward to. So thank you for joining me yet again. God love you for being here, and we will try to bring you back more entertainment sometime this week. Like I said, I'm going to do a review for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Looks like it's going to be a good one, although it's being savaged by reviewers. Um, I am always an independent thinker. If anybody knows anything about me, they know that's true. So I will tell you the good, bad, and the ugly about it. If I like it, I'll praise it. If I hate it, I'll tell you. Phase 4 has not been very good for the MCU. This is the beginning of Phase 5. Honestly, like I said, um, I liked Doctor Strange 2 and the Multiverse of Madness. I thought that was a really good movie. That was a good picture. You can't convince me otherwise. I mean, is it in my top 10? Probably not. Is it up there around like 12 maybe? Probably. Black Widow was meh. Shang-Chi was a little bit better meh. Wakanda Forever was meh. Eternals was double meh. Love and Thunder was triple meh. So I mean, they don't really have a great track record going on here. Um, as far as their TV shows were going on, She-Hulk was bad. Well, what else came out last year? I don't remember. Moon Knight was good. I liked Moon Knight. I thought Moon Knight was good. Hawkeye was okay. I mean, it was good. It was all right. I mean, I was glad I watched it. It could have been tighter, but it was okay. Um, Loki season 2 probably coming out this year. That's going to be something that I think that has to do with the results of, or I should say, the aftermath of Quantum Mania. So that's going to be exciting. All right, so check out our website. You can check out all the comics that we talked about at the beginning of this episode. The Adventures of Bullets, Bourbon, Private Eye. Just stick that in your pipe and smoke it. And we'll see you back next week, hopefully, at our regularly scheduled time here on the only way to spend your Saturday here with us on the Johnny Torch program, Johnny Torch Live. And we will see you back next weekend. Until next we meet, this is Johnny Torch reminding you once again, keep the flame burning brightly, and I'll be with you again real soon.